I couldn't.
Oh, I can imagine
Today
that
my
you-
stomach was just like.
But you said something, I'm sure you didn't, did anyone get a chance to watch the video from yesterday? I posted a lecture on behavior change, and one of the things that I talked about was this model called the health belief model, and Mr. Pachi posted it. It's her birthday. Jennifer's bringing the cookies. One of the things that Mr. Pachi posted on the website on Blackboard is this article, and it's social and behavioral theories. So I covered a few and I sort of compared it to my model, which we're gonna finish today because I wanna go through the 7 steps and we'll use someone else, because Aniela was guinea pig the other day for the first 3 steps, so we'll go through the adult steps. I did wanna cover 2 symbols with you though today.
We did the whole thing with me.
Well, we
No,
went
remember we left
really
off
to
at
like
the third.
step 3 where we
Yeah.
got the need of the intelligence.
And then we measured the independence and did everything else.
Right, so today we'll go
Oh.
through all of it, because I want to see that you guys know how to use it. Even if this isn't the model you choose, but health belief model, the one I was talking about yesterday, that's one of the things, perceive risks and perceive benefits. So when you're thinking about surgery,
Yeah.
you're thinking, wait a minute, what is the benefit? But the biggest risk is you dying
Yeah.
and leaving your kid, in the custody of someone else. So there is no bigger sort of perceived risk.
Right.
So when it's life or death, but I have to tell you that I was talking to a friend of mine, and, I've been getting some real mixed reviews, so to speak, from my decision. I think tomorrow it will be more
Defined.
for sure, whether or not I'm going to make the decision to stop the chemo. But that's one of the things isn't the risk of staying alive. It's different. It's a flip-flop between the 2 of us, So I have to make those sort of decisions, and those are risks that do they outweigh the benefits or vice versa. So when you guys see that video from yesterday, you'll see. I wasn't sure if I was going to be here today, so I wanted to leave you guys something. And then the article is there, and I'm going to give you a behavioral contract. I mentioned it in the video because I want you guys to have a contract. I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what we talked about yesterday. So when you watch it, I talk about things that where to meet your client in a session, and a contract is a really good sort of tool so that you can measure success. It's similar to what I do with my rule book and my model, and you can start sessions with that. You can give a client, you can establish a goal of the therapeutic session, and you can start deciding what it is that you're going to work on over how many weeks. So I'll get that, and Mr. Pachi will post that to the class. So before we go into the model, yesterday one of the things I did was I covered a metaphysical law called the law of octaves. And it's how my model is divided, and I'll sort of repeat a little bit today. But I wanted to go over this, and I want to go over another symbol. So this is called the Sri Yantra. And the reason that I want to go through this, and it'll piggyback on what I taught yesterday. So when I do my model, I'll sort of explain in a synopsis the metaphysical law that I was talking about. But I wanted to talk about the Sri Yantra and then this other one that's the Philosopher's Stone. And it's not the Harry Potter.
Oh, darn.
He has a version. So I want you to see. This is actually the tattoo that I wanted to get. And it's this.
Oh,
So I'll draw it on the board.
I've seen it.
So they took the Philosopher's Stone and they modified it for the movies. I never got to finish seeing all of them, and my son is very upset about that. So I want to explain what these mean. And there is a method to my madness. Okay, so that's my, my rendition of the Philosopher's Stone. So two of these things, they actually mean the same thing. You're gonna meet one of my friends. This is my childhood friend, 7th grade.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my work mom, and it's her birthday. So you're like a partial birthday present, because she hears all about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we just started.
Happy birthday. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, sit anywhere. It's
Sure, it's
okay,
okay.
Anthony. Hey, Marcia.
Everyone's struggling today. This is like we're like trying to breathe our way through. I can see it in your face. You okay? Yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna have a neutral consensus that we all feel like shit. Right? So, okay. So these two symbols, this and this, do they look alike?
Similar. Just this one has like more triangles. More
So Mr. Machi's like, no. Paula's trying to make sense of it.
And then there's like.
If I tell you these two things are the exact same meaning,
Well,
but they're completely different symbols, what similarities do you see?
triangle.
Okay, so you see a triangle. Who else has a triangle in her model?
You, the triad.
Yes, and the triangle means
The mom and dad.
mother, father, child, triad, but, oh, you guys didn't see yesterday's video, but it's the divinity.
Oh yeah.
Remember when I talked about Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma? Or the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or the Mother, Father, Child, Triad. The three is change and divinity. So you see triangles in the Sri Yantra. What else do you see that's similar? The circle. What's the circle?
The circle of life.
Interestingly enough, and I will tell you, there's another symbol, and I talked about this yesterday, is this. And oftentimes, this is like a shaman circle. This is a symbol for earth, okay? So you don't see the triangle here, but you have circle and square. And the reason I want you to know these symbols is because these symbols are subconscious symbols. And they represent, in a lot of theories, why they use the symbolism that they use. Did I bring the symbol book? Did I ever bring that one?
Was it in the
I
water?
don't remember seeing it.
I'll bring, I thought I did when we were doing time.
I'll go down and look.
No, I know it's not on my desk. I'll bring it. Here's some symbols
I thought.
in the labyrinth cards. I was looking for that the other day. Okay. So you have circles. What are circles? It's not the circle of life per se, but
The beginning and the end, it just keeps revolving.
okay. And in our mind, body, spirit, what would that represent?
Rebirth.
In mind, body, spirit, what would the circle, if what Marcia just said, what?
Right? Like this.
Mind, body, spirit. Of those three,
Okay.
what would the circle represent?
Oh, of the three that you just mentioned. Oh, body.
Connection of all
No, pick one.
Body.
It's one of those.
Oh.
Mind, body, spirit. And she just
Body.
I
said,
would think it was a spirit.
spirit. The body dies. That's what we were just talking about, cremation.
Oh,
The body dies, the body disintegrates, it's thrown into the ocean, it's cremated. Okay? So it's spirit. And what else do you see here that's in here?
The triangle.
We got that. We got triangles,
Oh.
we got O's.
little squares.
Right.
What was that?
Little squares.
Okay, little squares, but they're
Yeah.
squares.
Yes.
and squares.
More like rectangles.
So, is this the exact symbol as this? Is it made up of the same pieces?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yes.
course.
That is why in different philosophies, this is a metaphysical philosophy, and this is more of a Hindu or a Vedic philosophy, you're going to see the same things represented over and over. What is this?
The egg.
Yes. You guys didn't watch my video yesterday, but I mentioned this. What's this?
Infinity.
Okay, and in my model, where do we come from?
From,
You guys need to be spitting this out. By this time, you guys should be conception. But before conception, so this is conception. What came before?
The sperm and the egg.
Okay, but that's here.
Oh,
That's your egg. This is where you come and you get what? A body?
The energy?
The cosmos, or the cosmic energy, right? Cosmic consciousness, whatever you want. It's whole. Same. Here is where we have the conception story. There's a crack in it. And from there we get the glyph of Venus. What does the glyph of Venus have that's on this board in those two symbols? It has a circle, and what else?
spirit.
You're an artist.
Spirit.
You should see it.
The spirit.
What was that?
The spirit.
Okay, you have the spirit, but it's on top of what?
the body.
The body, the earth, the square. This is a square, not? Okay, that's why symbols are to be interpreted. That's why the Bible or any of these metaphysical books, because they're just stories, they're just metaphysical books written by different people in different parts of the world. They're saying the exact same thing. That's why we've talked about religion being bullshit and being un chisme, and they've just picked outfits and costumes and designer names. The next one that comes out will be the Kardashians, and that's going to be the new Bible, because now we've all changed that we all have big nungas because Kim said it was in. You know, but in the Bible times, it wasn't. You had to cover yourself. It's the same story, okay? In my model, and you should know this already, spirit, matter. What other words do I use?
Chaos.
Chaos, thank you. And if this is chaos, what's the opposite?
Like,
Rules or structure, okay, it's Saturn. And what happens, we come from the cosmos, the whole of us. We have a conception, here the egg meets the little sperm, and we're born. So you have the same exact thing. You have the circle, you have change, the cosmos changes and becomes the body. Same exact symbols over and over and over again. So you guys haven't watched yet, but please watch the behavior change. It's very short, it's a little over an hour, because I couldn't get through the whole, a whole class yesterday. And I talk about the model. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because these symbols are important for you to have some sort of a concise form to understand where all of this comes from, okay? So, the Sri Yantra, just briefly, it comes from Hindu or Vedic philosophy. And this is more of a metaphysician or metaphysics. And then this is none. Okay. So, what do these triangles mean? We're working with mind, body, spirit. Okay, but what does it mean in the thought of the whole diagram? What do we see? Let's start with the circle. What do we see in the circle? And where do you see the circle here?
Around all
Okay, around everything, around everything. You can't see it, but there's a tiny, tiny little dot here that's called a bindi. Okay, so there's a tiny dot in that triangle, and there's a circle in this triangle. There is a big circle on the outside, there's a big circle on the outside. What do you think it means? I've given you a lot of hints. The outside circle.
The cosmos.
The cosmos.
Creates life, right?
Okay, well, the cosmos, we're starting with that. This is what people call God. This is important because you're going to have people with different philosophies and different sort of religious tendencies, but really what they're referring to is a God. In here, we know that these are the gods, and we're gods, and we're demigods, and we're imperfect, and there's a human, and there's a spirit. But the tendency is to believe that there is this universal source that surrounds everything. That's the soul. That's the spirit that people talk of. When you understand this, you understand that we come from wholeness. Okay? I once put on one of my posts, to embrace the wholeness, you have to embrace the whole mess, because it's the whole mess of you and all of this world. But we come from this wholeness. And then what happens? It breaks. What happens in philosophy, especially more of these Eastern philosophies, the way they describe it is that this creative energy wanted to experience itself, or this holistic energy wanted to experience itself. So when we hear that God created the world in 7 days, or the earth in 7 days, he wanted to experience, quote unquote, himself through the animals, through the humans, through the moon, through the stars, through the mountains, through the rivers. That is why there is a break. And it's important that yesterday you see the class because I'm referring to it. But in the law of octaves that I covered, there is a break at the 3 and at the 4. This is called a shock. The only way for us to embrace behavior change if there is some sort of shock to our system. If there's some sort of, oh my God, this is important, some benefit, Paula, that outweighs a risk. Then you have the potential, and I have to stress that word, the potential of embracing behavior change. Only the potential. And when you see yesterday's video, you'll see why, and I'll explain more. This is a metaphysical law I'm going to go into because I want you to understand it when we start the model, and we're going to pick other guinea pigs. Okay, so now we have the whole circle. The person, the human being, comes from a whole. That is why, does anyone remember my theory of addictions? Why do people drink? What are they trying to get back to?
The water.
Okay, the toxic water of the womb. But really they're trying to get back to the cosmic womb. We are always trying to get back to wholeness. And wholeness is a mix of chaos and rules. And what's that my definition of? Freedom. People, come on. I don't sit up here all day for you guys to not remember these things. If not, you're not going to understand where the psyche is of the person. You're going to boil down people to people that want to seek freedom in a chaotic way or want to seek freedom in a very stable way. Those are your two options. What are you? Are you a stable seeking or are you a chaotic seeking? This morning you were saying about my daughter. She's like, oh my God, too much drama for such a young age. She is a chaotic seeking person. Paula? Yes, I would have to agree that you are too.
I I know. I know.
Anyone stable seeking? I think Mr. Paggi's stable seeking.
Yes.
I think you think so too? Okay. So Marsha and Mr. Paggi, you're both earth signs. So what element is speaking? What are you? What sign are you?
Capricorn.
Oh, you're an earth sign too. Okay, so you'll get there. Because this is what rules
Adventure.
is Saturn, which is the sign of Capricorn. And this is chaos, which is the sign of Uranus. And I showed this yesterday, but I will show you a card. That's the symbol of Uranus. And it's also the symbol of transformation. In order to change, you must have chaos. That's the shock in your life. The mother, father, child triad is 1, 2, 3 steps, teenager, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, which is adult, and this is child. It is broken up into 3 and 4 because it is based on this metaphysical law called the law of octaves. You first need the child, 3 steps, the Trinity, and then you need earth, which is the square. I'll repeat that since you guys didn't see what I taught yesterday. Okay? So these are related to the child steps, and these are related to the adult steps. You need some shock, some chaos. Anyone has a teenager in here? What is supposedly teenage years?
Rebellious things.
Rebellious. That symbol is rebellion, chaos, no rules, I know it all.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So in order for a teen to change, they must create chaos in the established order so they have permission to get to adult. That repeats over and over and over in our lives. That doesn't change. It doesn't matter what age you are. So when chaos comes, anyone have chaos right now in their life? Just a little? Just a little bit?
always
C-H-A-O-S. Me. Okay?
It's tiny.
Anyone have chaos in their life that's probably a skinny cow? Remember the skinny cows?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So it's probably a skinny cow, and it's probably going to hit you where it hurts. Why? Why are people getting, for instance, both of us, because we're both sort of thinking, oh my God, are we going to leave these children? Why does the chaos come and hit you where it hurts so that it knocks you down? We talked about this. This was in Catriel's class. We did a demonstration.
So that you can get back up. But
Well, she
the
wasn't in
second
that
time.
class, but you were in that class.
I was, I don't remember that.
So you can get back up? No. It usually hits you where it hurts because that's where you really have a lot of ego or a lot of judgments, and that's where you have to start questioning values. So if someone says, not me, never me, that'll never be me, or judge, because you said you weren't even going to have kids,
Yeah.
and now you're worried about leaving your kid.
Yeah.
So we get hit where it hurts, we get chaos, our teen, where it hurts, because we must relinquish rules. We must relinquish the structure. What does this resemble from one of these?
What does that resemble?
Yeah, I need you guys to start seeing past. I always want you to think like me, and I know that this is all new, so I'll break it down. But what do you see in this figure that represents rules and structure?
Square.
The square, exactly. Square has 4 sides. Square represents this plane, the earth. So anytime you see a square, or like in that card, the guy sitting on a square, it represents stability. Okay? And in order for us to change, in order for us to have real behavior change, there has to be some sort of chaos that makes you question the rules and the structure of which you've always lived by. If you are not questioning right now, then you're not taking advantage of the opportunity. That's why these times in our life, these skinny cows, they knock us down so that we're quiet. So that we have a lot of time to think. Did you have a lot of time to think?
I'm still thinking.
Okay, me too. I was on a couch for 6 days.
Yeah.
A lot of thinking took place. I don't shut up, right? I didn't talk for almost 6 days. Yesterday I lost it and I talked. But my poor mother had never heard me silent in her life. And for 5.5 days, I don't think I said a word other than like, ugh. So she was like, who is this person? She was shocked, okay?
Are you ever
A
coming
lot
back?
of thinking. What was that?
Are you ever coming back?
Right. Then she saw the Francis come back last night and she was like, oh, there she is. Okay. We have hope. So unless you have a shock, unless your rules or your structure is pulled from underneath you, your chaos, you really don't start to question your values, your judgments, your fears, the what ifs. That's our opportunity to give the box an erection. That is the therapist opportunity. Here. Does anyone remember the 3 steps of the Band-Aid?
Awareness, integration, do it differently.
Awareness, integration, and do it differently. If we can bring clients to awareness through these first steps, we've done a good job. Integration is a little harder. That's when we hope that they start changing the rules. But how many people, either yourself or someone you know, has gone through a skinny cow period and has sort of, I don't know how to say that in English, desperdiciarlo, like wasted it?
Didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, they kind of wasted it or didn't appreciate what they could have learned or sort of like sucked from that experience. And they're the same. I think, Marcia, you said that about your neighbor once.
But they,
The one that was in an accident.
Yeah, and the sister's really nice and the neighbor's mean and
Yeah.
that she should have been nicer because she should have learned.
yeah.
Okay?
No,
That
I only say that because everybody around says that she should have learned, but I'm like, not everybody learns from that.
But that's the thing. Not everybody changes. Not everybody learns from a skinny cow or just because they have chaos. Some people will drink themselves through it. Or they'll have sex through it. Or they'll gamble through it.
Yeah, it's true.
We have to accept that about human behavior. That's why yesterday's lecture was, does behavior change really exist? My opinion is minute.
Yeah,
That's why I say the erection is going to be extremely small.
exactly.
And if you can just bring awareness to that client, you've done good. And you can actually help them integrate a new rule or a new structure. That's good. Last night my mother and my sister were over. And I'm thinking about quitting chemo, and of course everyone's freaking out, and blah, blah, blah. And my sister's a doctor, so she was, beating me up. And of course, I mean, it's out of love. No one wants me to die. So, Valma, you're looking at me.
I am.
There are other alternatives. And we're talking about this concept. And obviously I have many things that have happened this year, not just cancer, that have been compounding the effects of how difficult this is for me. So I use this word. Do you know this word, naufrago? You guys know that word? Naufrago? You know naufrago. Okay. Many, many years ago, I heard this word. And I knew by the feeling of the word, it's like a castaway. It's like someone just lost at sea, like in Life of Pi. And I said to my sister, I said that to her yesterday. I said, I feel like a naufrago. My sister didn't know the word either. I think my mother was shocked that I knew such an eloquent Spanish word. And when I gave her the explanation, she's like, oh, that makes sense. And being a Pisces, of course, the imagery of water and not having anything to hold my boat to, not an anchor, not anything to hold on to, is because every single thing has been shattered. My crisis, besides illness, divorce, my children leaving, financial, blah, 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 at the root is an existential crisis. These moments in your life force you to question everything. That's